Folks, I've been thinking about combat lately, but not just any combat, ranged combat. Is it any good? Is it actually worth the effort? And if not, does it need a rework of some kind? And did Walter actually spice up things with his addition? Well, I certainly have my opinions on all that, and will possibly hear them when they matter. But I more so wish to simply share the possibilities of ranged combat, as some might not even know them at all. So let's get to it. And to my surprise, I have only now just noticed that every blow dart type in this game is actually available via a science machine and a science machine alone, so there's that. But regular blow darts here are crafted via reeds, hound teeth, and azure feathers, or dropped by a Mac tusk guaranteed, mind you. Now, the reeds are found easily in the swamp. Hound teeth, though, can be farmed from hounds via hound mounds, vargs, or even Mac Tusk himself with his 2 ice hounds, while the azure feathers drop from snowbirds in winter, so make notes. And with a range of 8 and damage of 100, blow darts are some of the best ranged weapons around, so there's really not much else to say or do beyond making a few when you can. So have fun. Oh, but the fun is just getting started here, as we're already entering interesting territory with sleep darts. So pick some reeds from the swamp, murder hordes of bees for stingers, and kill crows for jet feathers in order to have the ability to spit sleep at your enemies. Now, most small to medium mobs take 1 to 2 shots to get them to snooze, with larger mobs, yes, including bosses, needing 3 to 4. Now, they could be useful in collecting smaller mobs, as you can see, but you might actually be surprised how easily some bigger bads can go down here. I mean, vargs take a 1 shot, so if you want a varg farm setup, then here you go. But even moose goose goes down in 1 to boot, so do you need to escape some danger? These could help on occasion. Well, unless the mob is immune to sleeping, but there's a limited amount of those. But staying on that line, we should be careful. Antlion, Bee Queen, Dragonfly Claws, Toadstool, and a couple randoms actually gain resistance to sleep the more you put them to sleep. So this means it will not only take more shots to do so, but also that they'll wake up quicker too. It's just a small hidden mechanic of sorts, so I really wouldn't think of it as that big of a deal, and I really wouldn't recommend sleep darts against bosses anyways. In fact, probably half of the blow darts could be outright ignored if I'm honest, but electric darts could have their place for sure. The only thing you should know for the craft here is that canaries replace crow spawns with friendly scarecrows nearby, so there's your ticket to these golden feathers. But don't be fooled with the darts either, as they say they do 60 damage, when in reality, they hit for 90. Now why is that? Because of their electrical damage modifier, of course. The same damage that can be used to charge Volt Goats, or used on wet enemies to rocket the damage up to 150 each spits. They are situationally amazing if you know how to amass them, so good luck. But rounding us out are the fire darts, everyone. Arguably the worst there is. They have a very similar craft, merely with different materials is all. So let's not fuss around here too long. Instead, let's mention how fire darts don't deal any contact damage like sleep darts, but lead to fire damage after contact itself. Now, it doesn't last long at all, and is not even enough to kill some of the smallest mobs in the game, let alone anything worthy of your time. And to add to this, fire damage doesn't stack, so to even get the most out of these things, you must wait until whatever is on fire to not be before you fire another one at them. Otherwise, you're just wasting wasteful ammo. Furthermore, say you do even manage to fire dart a mob to death. All you've probably done is potentially burned your loot if you've mismanaged their health in combat. Folks, fire darts are just absolutely terrible. Period. Now this is the part where I start to share some opinions and some final blow dart thoughts. They're good, but they can have some annoying quirks, like occasionally missing and wasting a shot and I have no idea why or how, not being stackable when you have some equipped for some reason, and not actually switching to more when said stack has been fully shot. I don't know, I think blow darts could be reworked through and through. At least half the fire darts deal some sort of contact damage. But I digress. From spitting to whipping. Now things actually get intriguing with the Tail 03 cats here. The cattails are coming from rare Catcoon drops, of course, with the tentacle spots being a tentacle or Merm King loot drop, so make notes there. And the weapon deals 27.2 damage with a total of 175 uses. Easily one of the highest around, actually. Now its range of 2 does allow for a slight distance between you and your enemy, but it is nothing special. They're still gonna try to get a hit in. But what is special is the whip's ability to crack and de-aggro mobs. Now this loud snap has a 25% chance to occur when fighting normal mobs, a 20% chance when we're fighting monsters, although their de-aggro state is not going to last long, of course. But even bosses can cause the crack with a 5% chance each. However, they don't de-aggro at all, so don't even bother. Still, it's quite unique. And one of the best ways to use it to our advantage is through pacifying Slurtles while they're in their defensive state in order to kill them without a fight afterwards. Yup, it's a thing. And it's how you make farming these things way easier. So enjoy. But yes, from cats to kelp, I suppose. There is another whip that exists in this game, and it's called a bull kelp stalk. Found by picking beached kelp on the lunar island, or uprooting floating kelp with another ranged weapon we have yet to discuss, a stalk is essentially a Tail 03 cat. However, each hit actually lowers its freshness anywhere between 2 to 4%. Furthermore, once one is below 50% freshness, every hit then has a 10% chance to break it entirely. Not great. You are far better just planting these things off the shores to begin growing your own kelp. So get to it. But let us return to a more traditional style of ranged combat here. Bonking our enemies with boomerangs. One of the more accessible weapon options out there, a boomerang can be thrown to deal 27.2 damage from afar and can be caught for subsequent use afterwards. They are pretty straightforward and are used in farming smaller mobs like birds and rabbits, of course. But make note, you can actually have multiple boomerangs out at once if you're fast enough. But what happens if you're not? Well, throwing one costs 1 use, of course, but getting bonked costs 2. You also take half the damage of 1 when hit, so don't get hit. Catch them with spacebar or whatever your action button is. But don't count them out too much, as they can actually be useful in drawing the aggro of non-hostile or very skittish mobs like koalefants or vault goats perhaps. Bonk away. But Beard, nothing has really blown me away as of yet. Well, perhaps weather panes could help with that. They are rather expensive though, at 10 down feathers from moose goose or mosslings, vault goat horns, and gears, so be very mindful there. But also be mindful of the fact that they are not the best against groups of fast moving mobs due to the randomness of its tornado projectile, as well as its cast time. Then again, the tornadoes do stun lock stuff, so in certain cases, the exact opposite is true. But still, weather panes are oddly more tool than weapon. No, seriously, since the projectile can damage structures and stuff, you may see a lot of people just use them to quickly fell groups of trees, and it's also why some use it against Toadstool's charge phase to fell his spore trees to boot. Yes, it's best against slower mobs, or when used strategically in boss fights, but it can deal over 100 damage a blast if used correctly too, so I suppose you should make note there. But 2 last notes here, using one against poison burst nut trees to kill them in one blast is well advised, and having a few for the Fuel Weaver's Woven Shadow phase can go a long way as well, so good luck. Oh, but it's time to talk ranged magic, everyone. Possibly an entire conversation in and of itself. Ice staves, though, are easily constructed via a spear and blue gem. Although one could find some free with an ornate chest down in the labyrinth, the ornate chest dropped by the ancient guardian, or even when smashing a broken ancient pseudo-science station. But ice staffs have 20 uses each, and are used to freeze mobs in place. Duh, but some are more easily frozen than others. Like sleep darts, an ice staff's effectiveness varies depending on the size of the mob pretty much, but you can freeze bosses too. But 2 things to note. Each cast costs 1 sanity, so be very mindful there. And mobs that actually thaw out naturally lose aggro on you. So that's probably the neatest part about these things. but also similar to sleep darts, some mobs gain resistances to being frozen over time, so don't go thinking ice staffs are your way out of every fight, if you know what I mean. They do have their limits. Oh, and some mobs like rock lobsters, depth worms, and blue hounds are actually immune to an ice staff, so there's that. But all that said, they are very, very useful nowadays against the Crab King, as we can stop many of his attacks by freezing them with them. So make notes. But the other side of the coin, fire staffs. These things are more expensive and less effective. And yes, that's about all you need to know about them. Seriously, just think about them as fire darts, only used in a new way, if you know what I mean. A way that costs 1 sanity each time, like the ice staff. I mean, we can light fires or slightly fuel fires, so there's that, but yeah, let's not even bother with fire staffs, folks. They don't even deal contact damage either. Just fire damage still. Bad. Just bad. So let us get the ball rolling again with seed shells here. A very unique weapon, and the only way to get them is through murdering seaweeds, folks. Pink and white variants drop 2 to 3 of them, while yellows drop 3 to 5, so make note there. Also, do your murdering at night, you're gonna thank me later. But seed shells may not look like much at the end of the day, as they only sit at 23.8 damage. However, they are able to stun smaller mobs and do have a slight area of effect mechanic to them. Now they're obviously limited, but they can be quite useful when you do in fact have them in hand, so be smart about it. But moving on to another interesting one. The Strident Tridents. Dropped from the Crab King or Claus' sack, the Trident is rather expensive given the narwhal horns needed. And while it is indeed a melee weapon technically, it can also be used to summon geysers out on the water at range, and they deal 85 damage each. So I think it falls under the range category a bit too. Plus, it can be used to root up kelp, break sea stacks, and propel fish out of the water to boots. It is truly a hybrid weapon if there ever was one. So have fun. But yes, Walter and his trusty slingshots. Craftable and usable by him alone. He also came with 7 types of ammo for the thing, and was meant to shake up the combat game. But did he actually? Well, yes, but arguably no, after they nerfed his shot speeds, of course. Still, let's fire through his ammo like his 17 damage a shot pebbles here. Make note, every ammo craft equals 10 pellets, so that's probably one of the best parts about all these. But his gold pellets up the damage to spear levels with 34 a shot. Marble shines bright at 51 damage a hit, and here you can also see Walter's effective range and almost stun-lock potential in certain situations. Poop pellets make it interesting by having mobs that get hit by it drop their aggro, although it does not work on bosses, mind you. Freeze rounds, though, continue the exciting factors by freezing enemies, but interestingly enough, they count as 2 blasts from an ice staff each, so they're super efficient at freezing things. That said, the thawed mobs from these rounds do not lose their aggro, so make notes. Slowdown rounds slow whatever they hit by 33% for 30 seconds, all the while still dealing 17 damage a pop. And lastly, curse rounds deal 51 damage as well, but also spawn shadow tentacles at a 50% chance for more additional damage. So Walter's got promise for sure, and is really the only character who can really change up the combat game with ranged combat. But I still wonder if it was enough. Is it worth it due to his shot speed now? Heck, half the time he even gets stuck in his animation and doesn't shoot anything. I don't know, folks. I still think range in this game needs some new love. Oh, but before we go, here is an honorable mention. Wormwood's Bramble Traps. And no, I'm not kidding. Why or how? Well, because they are the only trap that when triggered actually has an effective range to them and can hit multiple targets at once. Now I've always liked these things, but be careful, they're also very dangerous to you if you're not careful about it. But there you have it, everyone. A rundown of every ranged weapon within Don't Starve Together as of this minute. And also a very long-winded way to present some questions. Like, does any of it really matter? Do you even use these things? Could we explore the potential of ranged combat a little more, maybe? I don't know. Again, I'm not too sure, but I really would not argue against the possibility of kind of giving these things a little rework, if you know what I mean. But thanks for watching, folks. Well wishes to all, keep your distance, and I'll see ya in the next one. Bye-bye.